As kids, we believed everything that was taught to us in school. After all that information came from learned professionals. But as it turns out, you shouldn't really believe everything your teachers taught you. This is because that public and private school curriculum is much like the internet, full of lies. And also a lot of other stuff too. Here are 20 lies that we learned in school. Number 20. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Ask any first grader who discovered America and they'll say one name, Christopher Columbus. I've even referenced it in a few videos myself, and we even have a day named after the guy. But as it turns out, that is a completely false fact. Good old Chris Columbus didn't even set foot on American soil. He made it as far as the Caribbean, but that's about it. Oh, and by the way, he actually wasn't the good guy we all thought he was. He actually brutalized, terrorized, and enslaved the people living in the Caribbean pretty much as soon as he landed there. So yeah, the next time we're celebrating Columbus Day, just remember that good old fact. Number 19. We definitely use more than 10% of our brains. A persistent myth presumes that 90% of the brain lies dormant in humans, waiting for evolution to catch up, and leaves kids imagining what kind of telepathic super beings they could be if only they could harness the rest. Why is that though? Well, it's because it's been a regular discussion in science class. In reality, we humans use all of our brains, there is no scientific evidence to suggest otherwise, and the 10% myth probably comes from a misquote attributed to Albert Einstein. Number 18. Ben Franklin and his kite. Mention Ben Franklin and one immediately conjures up an image of the guy flying a kite with a key attached to it during a thunderstorm, as it should because he was after all best known for using the said things to discover electricity, am I right? Well, actually that's wrong. That event, no matter how iconic it was, almost certainly never happened. The popular legend probably comes from a key on kite and thunderstorm scenario Franklin wrote for a popular publication. While he wrote about it, he didn't actually get into doing it. Number 17. The Food Pyramid of Death. Follow the food pyramid and lead a healthy life. That's the information that got crammed into our brains, and I still vaguely remember posters of this plastered on the walls of grade school, and even high school classrooms. But instead of being a guide for being healthy, following this outdated guideline was actually proven to decrease a person's lifespan rather than increasing it. The classic food pyramid has contributed to epidemic levels of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. The U.S. Department of Agriculture sets nutritional guidelines for schools and the military, but also represents the agricultural industry. And on top of that, it has a vested interest in promoting diets based on things such as corn and meat, which have proven unhealthy in large quantities. Number 16. The Taste Map. So, remember the tongue diagram that I'm sure we all saw in like science or biology or something that kind of maps out different tastes of parts of your tongue? So, this diagram points that salty and the sweet in the front of your tongue, the sour on the sides, and the bitter on the back. However, scientists long proved that these theories are actually incorrect. Each taste bud is actually capable of detecting all flavors, whether it's sweet, sour, bitter, or salty. However, this myth is still seen in a lot of textbooks today, and really, I'm not sure why. Probably because it costs too much to actually reprint. Number 15. The pyramids were built through slave labor. So it's a common belief that the Great Egyptian Pyramids were built by slaves, but a recent discovery actually found that this was not true. Apparently, inside the pyramids, there were tombs built for people that were working on them. They were respected for their work so much that those who died during construction were bestowed with the sacred honor of being buried in the tomb next to their pharaoh, and if they were just common slaves, they would not have received such an honorable burial. Number 14. There is no gravity in space. So everybody hears that there's no gravity in space. I'm pretty sure it's a line used in a lot of movies and a lot of science classrooms as well. We're all captivated by the concept of zero gravity that we fail to realize the truth, that there is in fact gravity in space. It's actually a lot weaker than the gravity we feel on Earth, but it is there. The gravity keeps the moon in orbit around the Earth and the planets in orbit around the sun. So you can imagine what it'd be like if there's absolutely no gravity. It's gonna be a complete and utter disaster. Number 13. Napoleon is short. So Napoleon is known for two things. One for being a master tactician, and the other one for being extremely short. He was actually so short, reportedly, that the Napoleon complex, a condition wherein a person suffers from a severe inferiority complex, was named after him. However, the truth is he actually wasn't short at all. The main reason why we believe this is because he was recorded as being 5 foot 2 inches tall, but French inches were used as the unit of measurement. Using modern international units, he would actually be about 5 foot 7. Maybe a little short by today's standards, but back then it was actually pretty average. Number 12. The real primary colors. So what are the 3 primary colors? Generally accepted as red, blue, and yellow, right? This is something that we're all told as kids, and for many years we were taught that primary colors actually can't be made by mixing other colors together. But we mix any combination of the 3 to make other colors. Sorry to tell you this, but your childhood was a lie. The main criteria to be a primary color is that it's not possible to create that color by mixing 2 other colors. Blue and red actually don't fit that criteria. You can make red by mixing yellow with magenta, and you can make blue by mixing cyan with magenta. Color theorists have worked this out by the end of the 19th century, but for some reason never made it into school books today. The proof is in your color printer cartridges. They actually come in cyan, yellow, and again, magenta, which are the real primary colors. Number 11. The United States gave birth to democracy. The rise of the US undoubtedly shattered the era of kings and queens ruling over monarchies, which had existed in Europe for centuries. There's no question about that, despite the fact that we still have a Queen of England and such. But when it comes to coming up with the Americans' claim to be America's greatest gift to the world, well, the Greeks are gonna have something to say about it. Way before even anybody thought that America would even exist, at around 507 BD to be specific, it was the Greeks who came up with the system of government most countries use today. They called it Demokratia, which is a direct rule of the people that included 3 branches of government. Number 10. Edison invented the light bulb. Children learn early on that Thomas Edison's incandescent light bulb is one of the most important inventions in US history. That does have some truth to it, but it's only about half true. While there is no question that Edison was a brilliant mind for inventing things, he was also excellent at marketing himself. Edison successfully sold himself as the lone genius inventor, but the light bulb actually came from a group effort by scientists who were sometimes collaborating, sometimes competing to bring light to the world. But Edison got the last laugh. Number 9. You'll never walk around without a calculator. Pretty much me and every school kid that I grew up with is laughing at this one. Ever wonder why your teachers force you to solve complex math problems without the use of calculators? Well, according to them, people need to know the pen and paper process because we will never be walking around all day carrying calculators everywhere we went. All teachers who said those words are hanging their head in shame right now because according to a recent survey, 96% of Americans carry around phones that contain at least a basic calculator app. Using a calculator, phone app or otherwise, in some exams is still considered cheating though, so kids, you gotta learn your math properly. Or unless you can sneak it in, of course. Number 8. Diamonds come from coal. Diamonds are formed when coal is under intense pressure for incredibly long periods, right? Even Superman himself demonstrated this fact in one of his early movies by using his super strength to squeeze coal into a diamond. In reality, though, that's nearly geologically impossible. In fact, coal forms virtually no diamonds. They're created in a variety of ways and places, including in the Earth's mantle and at asteroid impact zones. Number 7. Chameleons change color for camouflage. Chameleons have the remarkable ability to change color, but not actually for the reasons we've been taught in school. For the longest time, chameleons used their color-changing capabilities to seamlessly blend in with their background to avoid predators. However, it's actually more akin to mood-changing rings rather than, let's say, the mimic octopus. Some chameleons change with the temperature or amount of stress they're experiencing. Others change colors to warn other lizards of danger, and of course, some males brighten things up to attract female chameleons. Number 6. Touching frogs or toads will give you warts. As a general rule, you should never touch frogs or toads out in the wild, especially if you're unfamiliar with the species. This is because some of these amphibians secrete powerful toxins from their skin, some of which are even fatal. But if you're worried about getting warts while touching your friend's pet toad, then you shouldn't worry about a thing. Warts are actually caused by a human virus, and not physical contact with frogs and toads. The fact is, the bumps that cover the skins of some of these amphibians aren't actually warts at all, but that's for another video. Number 5. Alcohol kills brain cells. How many times have I heard that in health class that drinking alcohol can kill brain cells? Too many times to count from both officials and my parents, but that hasn't really stopped me from partaking in some light casual drinking. The truth is that moderate drinking doesn't cause any damage in most cases. Now, heavy drinking, oh yes, absolutely, that can damage the brain easily, as well as your liver and other critical systems, but that damage is not the result of cell death. The amount of alcohol required to kill cells would kill the person first. Maybe we thought that alcohol kills brain cells because some people act like they're missing a few when they're drunk. Kinda like that uncle that everybody has during a family gathering. And speaking of family gatherings, number 4. Literally everything about Thanksgiving. Everything. Virtually everything learned in school about Thanksgiving is a lie, including the central story of the feast celebrating a partnership between Native Americans and early European settlers. The Pilgrims were fanatical and violent religious zealots who considered indigenous Americans savages, and the Indians naturally resented their presence. The modern feel-good story is propaganda that's only 120 years old, but there actually was a celebratory feast in Massachusetts in 1637, proclaimed by Governor John Winthrop in celebration of the return of Puritan gunmen from hunting and murdering hundreds of Pequot Indians. Number 3. George Washington had wooden teeth. When he gave his first inaugural address in 1789, George Washington had just but one real tooth in his mouth. The rest were dentures. Given the times, it's easy for us to bite into the belief that his dentures were made of wood. Yes, technology back in the day can't even think of coming up with a set of dentures equal to what we have today, am I right? Well, give the ye old dentist a bit of credit, actually. While it is a fact that the first president did wear dentures, none of them were made with wood. Some were made from ivory, gold, and even lead. If some rumors are to be believed, even real human teeth were added. The common schoolhouse myth that the first president wore wooden teeth, however, is exactly that. Simply a myth. Now it's time for today's best pick. Today's best pick is quite controversial and is one of the points in the debate between creationists and evolutionists. Interested? Stick around to find out more with number 2. Humans evolved from apes. In this scenario, the Christians have it right, but not in the way they think. Early classes on evolution usually leave one basic impression. Humans evolved from apes. But that's not the way it happened. After all, evolution works by eliminating the inferior species while the stronger, better adapted ones thrive. If that had happened, then there wouldn't be any apes left because we would have outcompeted them. The more likely theory is that humans and the great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans started with a common ancestor, and then evolved in separate directions over the years. Specifically 4, 8, and 12 million years ago, respectively. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Cracking your knuckles is gonna give you arthritis. For generations, parents and teachers alike terrorized children with the idea that cracking their knuckles would leave them with brittle, arthritic hands later in life. In reality, there's actually no connection. The cracking is actually bubbles bursting in the synovial fluid that surrounds the knuckles. Cracking knuckles can, however, diminish grip strength. And if you're not sure whether the habit is annoying, just ask the person next to you on the bus. I, for one, love it. It feels good. Which of these blatant lies did you believe until today? Let us know down below in the comments. Also, make sure to check out the channel's other videos. All of them are pretty amazing, and that's no lie, thankfully. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody!